Jim Prentice is a visiting Global Fellow with the Wilson Center's Canada Institute. Mr. Prentice has held several high-level posts with the Canadian government. In addition to serving in the House of Commons, he's also served as Minister of the Environment, Minister of Industry, Minister of Indian Affairs, and most recently as Premier of Alberta. Welcome to the Wilson Center, Jim.
Nice to be with you.
Let me ask you, you're here working among other things on a book called Canada, Energy, and the Environment. Tell us about the book.
Well, that's the working title. We may come up with another title before we're done, but essentially it's a book about all of the energy issues that challenge us today in North America. Climate change, in the context of Canada, we're a major energy producer. It's about pipelines. It's about the energy mix in Canada. It's about all of the issues that we face today with the challenges of climate change, energy production, energy consumption. And it looks at it really from a North American perspective also.
In a recent op-ed in the Globe and Mail, you said that Canadian governments play checkers while others play chess. Could you expand on that? What do you mean in the context of energy?
Well, in the op-ed, I was really dealing with the issue that we face in Canada relative to pipelines. And one of the challenges that we've had in our country is, although we are one of the world's largest oil producers, we aren't able to actually get that oil to global markets. Instead, we've become, by and large, captive to the North American marketplace and have been selling Canada's oil at discounted prices into a North American marketplace that really is increasingly saturated. And the same actually applies to some varieties of U.S. oil. And so the key really for us is to see pipelines built almost in every direction, but certainly pipelines to the West Coast and the East Coast in Canada.
What is the reason that it's the industry in Canada has developed along these lines?
Oh, well, I think it was comfortable for many years to simply supply the U.S. market. And, more recently, over the last 10 years, we've had challenges trying to secure the social license, to use that term, to build pipelines, first of all, to Canada's West Coast and now as well to the East Coast. And so, the point I made in the op-ed is that we have to get this resolved as Canadians. And, we also need improved access to the U.S. market. But we need to be smart about it as a country, and frankly, we need to be smart about it as continental partners.
So given that, how big a setback is the lack of progress on the Keystone XL pipeline?
Well, I think it was a significant setback. I think it was a significant setback in terms of Canada-U.S. relations. But the Canadian-U.S. relationship is much bigger than a single pipeline. And so, we'll move past it. And, I know, for example, that there are other projects that were approved over the same period of time. But the Canadian and American economic and energy relationship is so deep and so meaningful on both sides of the border that, we'll get past it.
You've also written and spoken about the importance of the Canadian oil sands as a global resource. Could you talk to us about that? Explain what you see, what's the vision that you see for and the potential that you see?
Well, we need to see the Canadian oil sands developed. They need to be developed in an environmentally responsible way. That is certainly the case. And Canada needs to be on the cutting edge in terms of environmental standards for all of the environmental issues that you face, everything from production to methane emissions to reclamation, and also in terms of climate change policy. We need to be on the cutting edge of all of those elements of environmental advancement. But this is also a very significant resource that is valuable to us as Canadians. It's valuable in a continental perspective and quite valuable in a global perspective. And so it needs to be developed, but in a responsible way.
And you think Canadians have not been aggressive enough in exploiting that resource?
Well, the production has ramped up. Production, I think, at this point is close to 3 million barrels of oil per day. I mean, it is one of the world's largest sources of energy. It can be produced in an environmentally responsible way, and I think Canadians need to be proud of that, and we need to be vigilant about environment for sure, but we need to balance those two. And frankly, our country's always been good at that.
Why do you think that there's been a lack of confidence in that area among protesters, consumers, environmental advocates, whoever the group might be? Why don't they believe, at least up till now, that the government can responsibly manage the environmental concerns?
Oh, I think Canada has been off its game for some time in this respect. I mean, these are challenging issues. They're challenging issues for all countries. We've seen a new consensus at Paris. I didn't go to Paris, but I did attend at Copenhagen a number of years ago. And so I've been at the International Climate Change table and have seen how that has developed. You know, I think at the moment Canada is taking steps to ensure that we have environmental performance that matches with our energy performance. And my view has always been that these are two sides of the same coin, and that, you know, frankly, we can be good at both of them.
What will it take to get the U.S. and Canada on the same page?
Well, you know, that's important. It is important that we do that. You know, our energy economy is completely integrated across the border. And as North Americans, we're beneficiaries of the most integrated energy marketplace in the world. It's driven prosperity on both sides of the Canada-U.S. border, and we need to keep it strong. And so it is important that we, you know, to underline your question, it is important that we stay on the same page. So, you know, I'm hopeful that we will continue to see Canada, the United States, and Mexico strengthen our energy relationship, that there'll be a focus on greener projects, there'll be a focus on Canadian hydro, for example, as well. But it's about continuing to work together to make sure that we are on the same page.
A final thought on what it will take for Canada to get to the place you think it can get to in this regard. Right. Are you optimistic? Is Canada spinning its wheels, so to speak? What do you see in the trend lines?
Yeah, I'm an optimist, and you know, in part that's why I wanted to write this book. It really encapsulates 15 years of my own life working on these issues with you know, questions about Canada's energy production, our relationship with the United States, our capacity to export, our capacity to reach global markets, climate change, the environment, and so on. And so I'm an optimist, and you know, the book that I'm writing is very much done in that perspective. But there are many years of work ahead for us, and it's going to take a new way of thinking about many issues.
Well, Jim, when the book is complete, maybe we can invite you back and talk about it a little more.
Be delighted.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.